Hello, my name is Christine Kim, and for my signature assignment, I chose an article called Rotating Night Shift Work and Lung Cancer Risk Among Female Nurses in the United States. This experiment was conducted by Dr. Eva Sternhammer, Diane Frischnack, Ju Liang, and Jilai Han. And this experiment is based on the rotating night shift female nurses and the risk of lung cancer in the United States. Among 78,612 women in the Nurses Healthy Study, 1,455 women had a type of lung cancer. Compared to the female nurses who do not work the night shift, nurses who work the night shift for 15 years or more had a 28% increased risk of lung cancer. In relation to cancer, night shift workers have presented a disrupted circadian cycle in the etiology of smoking-related lung tumors. So the hypothesis they propose is there is a higher risk of lung cancer in female nurses in the United States who work rotating night shift for 15 years or more. And this hypothesis was supported by the results of this experiment. And the experiment exposed a contributing factor in the etiology of smoking-related lung tumors, circadian disruption. And it'll be interesting if they did a further study on circadian disruption in relation to lung tumors caused by smoking, and a study on rotating night shift work and lung cancer risk among male nurses in the United States, and compare the data they found with female and male. But there's no mention on continuing either of the studies. So the results of these experiments. The study included 78,612 women, and these women were given a questionnaire which included that as total number of years working the rotating night shift, how often they smoked, their age, weight, and if parents or others around them smoked, and if the number of years they lived with someone who smoked. And the study concluded, among current smokers, 15 or more years of rotating night shift workers was associated with 61% increase in the risk of lung cancer. When women who had worked rotating night shift for 15 or more years had a 28% higher risk of lung cancer than the women who never worked rotating night shifts. Compared with women who never worked any rotating night shifts, women in the category of longest night shift work, which is 15 years or greater, had a 56% higher risk of small cell lung cancer and a 45% higher risk of squamous cell carcinomas. Among current smokers, 15 or more years of rotating night shift work was associated with 22% increased risk of adenocarcinoma of the lungs and a 57% higher risk of small cell lung cancer and a 48% higher risk of squamous cell cancer. Among past smokers, 15 or more of the rotating night shift work was not associated with an increased risk of adenocarcinomas of the lungs, but was associated with 78% higher risk of small cell lung cancer and 40% higher risk of squamous cell carcinomas. And also, a chronic disruption of the circadian cycle causes several malignancies, including the breast, endometrial, and colorectal cancer. So on top of a lung cancer that could be severe and that could develop. You could also have many malignancies because of a disrupted circadian cycle. And these are the charts that include the topics. So this one is the age and age adjusted characteristic by the numbers of years working at a night shift. And this one is the relative risk of lung cancer by number of years working in the night shift. This table. There you can see a little bit better. And some strengths and limitations on this experiment. Some limitations were the questions on the questionnaires are very vague and very outdated. This question was taken 1988. So there might have been a lot of misunderstanding and misclassifications. For example, the average number of nights the nurse worked in this article that they collected was 1 to 21 nights per month. But on average, the permanent night workers worked 3 to 30 nights per month. So when the nurses were taking these questionnaires, the permanent night worker may have thought because they're permanent workers, they don't rotate and they're not considered a rotating night shift worker. On the other hand, maybe like people who never considered or classified themselves as night shift workers may have chosen the option of never rotating, even if they worked once, twice, maybe 3 times. And yes. And also the data was only collected once, so that may have skewed the data a bit. But on the other hand, there's a lot of strengths to this experiment, which includes this study was interested in few institutions and was approved by the Brigham and Women's Hospital Institutional Review Board in Boston and the Connecticut Department of Public Health Investigations Committee. Also, there was a large population who participated in the experiment, so there was a lot of data that supported the hypothesis. And I chose this article because 1, I am a female, and 2, I am studying to become a nurse. So in the future, I may have to work the night shift. And reading and researching about this topic was very interesting to me because I'm a night owl, which means I stay up all night. I could go to bed at 4 o'clock in the morning or even later. And that disrupts my circadian cycle. And to read about the disruption of the circadian cycle kind of frightened me and wanted me to check my sleeping schedule. And also, there's a lot of people around me who smoke, and they may not realize that it affects other people in the process. And because I am exposed to a lot of smoke, I may have a greater chance of being diagnosed with secondhand smoke. So just all these little factors that I could relate to made me more attracted to this article. And as I was reading this article, I was very intrigued and it was very interesting, informative, and I would highly recommend it to my cohorts who are female nurses that smoke. This is why I chose the article, and again, it's because I could relate it to this article very much. And this is my reference, and thank you for listening, and hope you have a wonderful day.